It's like. It's like written so many different colors. Yeah, so like 4. It's. I don't know. I'm sure.
Scott said start. All right.
Hey guys.
Well, hey Daniel.
How's it going?
It's
Great.
going. I think we got it all figured out.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Oh,
Live
Graceland's
streaming?
here?
She was on here.
Hi, Graceland.
Hi, we have another batch of 1, 2, 4 other people in the other couch, so we're growing. We have a ton of people here.
I know.
Here.
Do we have anybody new that we need to introduce or?
Yeah, and let's see if, I don't know if they're comfortable. We introduced you to Josh and Abby. Did Hannah? Oh, okay, then no. I think you've met everybody.
We've met everybody? Okay.
Oh, hey, Kiara. No, they've met Kiara before.
Wait, are we waiting to
Nice.
introduce?
I'm not scared. It's a lot of.
Who's running the meeting? Ron? You're running the meeting?
Yeah. Yeah. Are we
All right.
ready? I'm
Yeah.
ready.
Let's go.
Well, Ron Alcoholic. Ron.
Hey, Ron.
I'm reading from Daily Reflections today on this date of the 17th. And I love this book. I've had it for almost 7 years now. Really didn't look at it the first probably 4 years, and then off and on. And then the last 3 years I've been really, acknowledging and really thinking about each day what the passages are and stuff like that. So this one's called Love and Fear as Opposites. It says, all these failings generate fear, a soul sickness in its own right. And then from the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions on page 49, it says, fear knocked on the door. Faith answered, no one was there. I don't know to whom this quote should be attributed, but it certainly indicates very clearly that fear is an illusion. I create the illusion myself. I experienced fear early in my life, and I mistakenly thought that the mere presence of it made me a coward. I didn't know that one of the definitions of courage is the willingness to do the right thing in spite of fear. Courage then is not necessarily the absence of fear. During the times I didn't have love in my life, I most assuredly had fear. To fear God is to be afraid of joy. In looking back, I realized that during the times I feared God most, there was no joy in my life. As I learned not to fear God, I also learned to experience joy. I know for a long time, I started really getting introduced to alcohol when I was like around 9 years old, and it was basically an open liquor cabinet, and it was always stocked, always full. And by the time I was like graduated high school and did all that and everything, I was drinking every day, functioning, but drinking every day. And by the time I want to say around 30 is when fear because of dishonesty, the fear of what the unknown, becoming more, distant from everybody, my wife, my children, my family, my friends. And as it got worse and I drank more and more, the insanity and all that, and the fear of, just not being around anybody and being isolated and having all those thoughts in my head to the point where I was completely numb and my relationships were horrible. It was really miserable. But I started blaming, number one, God, and then everybody else around me. And that was the fear of, because of me isolating and not necessarily knowing, but alcohol was what would change me into what I thought the person people wanted me to be. And so that was like one of the things that kept me, like sociable until I didn't want to be sociable anymore. And then more problems would start and I would blame others and I would blame God, and I wanted God out of my life. But I was afraid, I was afraid of everything that I was doing. But that illusion of me trying to pretend that I was somebody that I wasn't was, just a big lie. And it really just destroyed everything in my life. And when I first got to the ranch the first time and I went through the program and, I thought I had it and I really didn't. I only got what I wanted out of it and not everything that I was supposed to. And it just, right after, it was just relapse and then back into that same situation, afraid to reach out, afraid not to talk to anybody, afraid, blaming and the fear of what people would think because I relapsed. And then getting in that cycle until I had to hit bottom again, and then move to finally admitting and coming back to the ranch. And I did it again because that's my MO. I just like to do that and then just start the cycle over again. And then the third time was the most humiliating, the most detrimental to everyone around me. And I think that's where I had the courage to be honest and want to do it right and to change my life finally for once. And, it was really connecting and really connecting with God for me and the closest people that really truly cared about me. And that's what I needed. You can call it rock bottom. I think I hit rock bottom every time, and that's what it is to some people. But it was finally to break that fear of what, of me dying and leaving my kids and my family and my parents and my friends, and what a cowardly way that would be. And that really scared me. That was the fear that broke me. And I wanted not to have that in my life anymore. And I made the decision that I have to do it somebody else's way. And I needed to have that in my life for the rest of my life if I do want to stay sober. And I don't want to go back and repeat the same cycles over and over again, because that's insanity. And I'm tired of living in insanity. And I always got to remember that, because it is just 1 second away for me, because I've done it so many times. And now that I have a great support group and I have this program and going back through the ranch and doing it the right way, I'm a completely 100% different person than I was just 3.5, almost 4 years ago. And, you know, I only have God in my life and the people that are sober around me to keep me moving forward, and knowing that I don't have to live in fear anymore. I don't have to live the way that I used to, and I don't have to lie anymore. I don't have to be that person that is deceitful and just that disgusting person that I was. And it's really, it shows with, I can see other people that you know, like my daughters and my parents, they can see a completely different Ron now. And you know, that just makes me feel so good inside, because I know that I'm truly doing the right thing. But that's what I got. So thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
Brett, I'm an alcoholic.
Brett.
Hey, Brett.
How's it going, guys? I think directly off of that, I've had faith in my higher power, which is God, for my entire life. And you know, I fell into a very steep slope of drinking, and it seemed like it was a temporary thing for me, and then it led to every day, and then it led to just drinking in excess every day, and that led to just every bad feeling I could think of. And with my faith, you know, being consistent throughout my life, I would sit there, and you know, I would isolate myself with fear of others' judgment, you know, my family and my couple friends, and just fear that they would judge me, and they'd know my so-called habit. And so I started, you know, just isolating, and then in my own thought process, it was so easy to justify. It wasn't even justification. It was more just being okay with consistent drinking, and then that, you know, led to all those other things. I sat there doing that for a couple months straight, just all day, all night. And then I'd get to the end of the day, and I'd be praying, and you know, begging for change, basically. And I'd be just begging for change of this and that and this way, and all of that prayer, because that's, you know, what I was taught and raised with. I had this huge fault in it, which was I was praying to my higher power, but I was asking for it on my terms, and that's not, it's not only not what I was taught and raised on, but that was the addiction, just speaking right in front of the words that should have been coming out of my mouth, or the thoughts that should have been going through my brain. And I realized, you know, this isn't working. And then not that I never got angry towards my higher power or anything, but I just kept praying and begging. And I started getting angry and not being myself around my family and my few friends, and not, you know, just not a fun thing to be around, which led to more isolation. And with all that, I think my prayers were finally answered, but not how I wanted. One of the scariest things, you know, I started seeing my life crumble before me, and next thing you know, I did wake up in a hospital. And, well, I woke up bloody on the floor, then in a hospital. But I, of course, prayed from there, and was like, okay, higher power, God, I've been asking, I've been begging finally you gave me something, but it's not how I expected it. And that was me having to come to terms that if I can't do it under my own will, then I have to give it to the Lord. Through all that, it relates back to what this section said, which is I couldn't be honest with myself. Therefore,
Oh, they froze up.
Okay,
Anybody
I
else
just
want
wanted to
to-
make sure I wasn't missing something.
Anybody else want to share? We lost our leader, Ron, to bad service, maybe.
I'll share. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hi, Aaron.
Aaron Alcoholic.
Hi, Aaron.
I feel like I might lose you guys, but before I do, Aaron Alcoholic, yeah, fear is a really big part of my story. And just thinking, I've just had a lot of things to think about lately in my life, especially working with RSSN, and it does bring up things that I haven't thought about in a long time. And then this fear really does. And I was just thinking that, you know, I was always just fearful of myself. I was, and there wasn't, I just was a fear, always fearful that I didn't fit in. But once I took that first drink, I really did, you know, I really thought that I did fit in. And I can remember actually my oldest daughter's dad, when we first started dating, was in high school, and we went to a party and I drank for the first time. And, you know, everybody said that, oh, they really liked that I was so much fun. So I thought, oh gosh, so much fun, I'm gonna have to drink. But when I was drinking, I thought that I was funny. I thought that I was the life of the party, and it wasn't always necessarily true, obviously. But then I started drinking behind closed doors, and for me, that was not good. A lot of people still, you didn't know that I was doing drinking behind closed doors, and were very surprised at that behavior, and it's not something that I ever want to live in again. You know, I can remember, I know of 3-4 times that I was in the hospital because of it. And it, you know, just isn't pretty. Like, it just, you know, it was something that I could I wasn't fearful of my father, who at that time was an alcoholic, which I should have been. You know, I would think, oh, I would drink the alcohol that he had, but I would get through a day of school and I would get good grades. And so I thought, okay, this is good. Like, I can handle this. And as I got older, that just was far from the truth, but I was hiding it from everybody. So I was just really fearful of myself. And I don't ever want to be in that position again. And once I decided to surrender, to really surrender and hand my life over to someone else other than myself, is when things started to change. And when I was honest with myself and honest with others, things started to change. And I liked the way that felt, and I liked the way that looked. And I began this road of recovery, and I thought that I could never, I didn't think, oh, that wouldn't be so fun, or I wouldn't get all the blessings that I had lost back. And that is so not true. Like, I received bigger blessings by staying in recovery. And I am grateful for this, my story, and I'm grateful for where I've been. And I'm grateful that in my active addiction, I lost relationships, but I also gained those relationships back in such a much more beautiful way. And our relationships, and life, I have so many blessings today because of recovery that I just don't ever want to live in that place of fearfulness ever again. And I'm so grateful that I can call on my higher power, who is my Lord and Savior. And I can call on him. I can call on others in my community, recovery community, a sponsor, and just reach out, because that was my biggest fear, was not talking to anybody and isolating. And I know today that is my biggest fear of self, is to isolate. And I can't do that today, because that just takes me to an awful place. But I really like the topic today, Ron. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
Brett, alcoholic.
Oh, Brett,
Brett.
hey, you're back.
Yeah, we had a meltdown on the phone. It got too hot for some reason. So I got it on the air conditioner now.
We just chime back in. Yeah, I wasn't being honest with myself, and I wasn't being honest with God or my higher power, as some say. And I wasn't being honest with anyone else, and that just domino effect took place, and God, saved me, and what I couldn't do in my own will, God's will did. And just being honest with yourself, of course, and then everyone else, and your higher power, and then just putting in not only the honesty, but then putting in the commitment, the work, and then putting in each day, one step at a time, one moment, one day at a time, living in the present, and being appreciative of the present, and being alive and sober, and having a cell phone to overheat on you, or a shirt on your back, is something that is simply put, to be thankful for and grateful for, and can keep you grounded in the present. And I think it makes you more appreciative towards what you had, where you were, and what you have now, and where you're going, but of course still remaining in the moment, one day. So thank you.
Thanks, Brett.
Thanks, Brett.
Oh, thank you. Needed a break. Anybody else?
I'll share. Hi, I'm Marcy Alcoholic.
Marcy.
Marcy,
Hi, Marcy.
Oh, I haven't been to one of these in a minute, so it's nice to see new
to see you.
faces. Yeah. Today, this morning, we talked about fear, and that's a big driving force in my life. I am afraid of so much. I never really, before I came here and got sober, like had any tools to help me with that, and I'm still struggling with that. This is a year program, and when I graduate in a few months, I'm like, I don't know where to go, and I'm trying to get another full-time job. I'm only working very part-time, and so I've been looking for a job, and my head lately, honestly, has just been full of fear, and so, I think that today was like the first day that, because we talked about it, that I need to like actively do something about that. And really future trip, I do that quite a bit, but it's nice that I'm sober so that it doesn't get more intensified, because I know when I use a drink, it's like 10 times worse. So it's just, I'm really grateful that I'm sober today, and grateful for the people here and the good community, and anyway, thank you. I'm grateful for this meeting. That's it. See you, Daniel.
Hi, Marcy. Thanks, Marcy. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Anybody else want to? Share? I don't think. Share. It's not. Okay, great. Joshua's gonna share. Awesome.
Oh, nice. All right, Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh, an alcoholic.
Hi, Joshua.
Thanks. So, um, the fear and love was today's reading.
yes.
Sorry, hi, Joshua. I'm an alcoholic. I've been sober for about 21 days. At the end there, I was drinking every day, all the time, and doing a lot of cocaine, which kept me up. And so I wouldn't sleep and go for days. That was really extreme, and I really liked it that way. It didn't start off that way though. I didn't start drinking until I was like out of college. I never, but eventually started drinking more and more. I do tattoos, so in the tattoo shop, it's pretty common to have like degenerates. People drinking while they're getting tattooed, people drinking, some of the artists were drinking while tattooing. And it just came to a point where I felt like I could handle it all and just drink nonstop. And that was my sober. I wasn't really drunk unless I was blacked out and throwing up and embarrassing myself. Yeah, so I felt like I kind of traumatized myself, and I don't want to go back to that. I know that I'm powerless over it now, and I'm not just going to want to have one drink. Yeah, so I'm really grateful for the community we have here in the AA program, something to turn to and get me out of my head and put me on the path to sobriety. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate this impromptu message. Hopefully YouTube's receiving it well. So thank you guys.
Thanks, Joshua.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Joshua.
So yeah, I'll jump in there. Scott Addict
Scott.
Scott,
is on fear. Yeah.
fear and love.
Fear and love. Well, I'm definitely a loving person, so I can check that off the box. But fear is different. And for me, thinking back to like my active using, I would have been a person that would have told you I was fearful of nothing. And I definitely think at some point I crossed the line of being afraid to die to like just making that commitment and accepting that that was most likely my outcome. And I know now looking back that at whatever point that decision was made where I no longer feared dying, that's really where the wheels kind of really came off, you know, what wheels were left, I guess, at that point. And I was then scared of everything. I was no longer scared of dying, but I was terrified of just everything that was going on in my life because at that point I hadn't really acknowledged, you know, or really even processed like where my life was headed. I kind of just blocked everything out, you know, and that fear then transitioned I into when I got sober this last time. I'm thinking, you know, the things that I was fearful most of was, you know, not being able to do the things that I enjoyed doing. Like that was my first thought. It wasn't like I'm afraid that I might relapse, which would have been the correct thinking. I remember thinking like, I'm afraid I'll never be able to go to a music festival again. Like that was where my mind was at. I was so afraid that I'd never be able to enjoy the things that I was doing while loaded sober, that it really was like, is it even worth it? You know, because I don't want to become this, you know, 5 meeting a day coffee drinker that's got to sit in these rooms in order for my life to be like somewhat okay. I just didn't want to be one of those people, you know. And what I'm grateful for is that I learned that life doesn't have to be that way and isn't that way. And I started to accept my life for what it was and accept the changes that I needed to make. And all of those fears then transitioned into healthy fears. I have a healthy fear of relapse. And what does that mean? That means that I had to learn how to set boundaries, because if I was unwilling to set a boundary, then someone else would have to set one for me, you know, and very slowly, you know, my life just continued to change. And today, you know, I don't actually really think about fear very much. I mean, I guess it's kind of the moving thing that we've been discussing with me lately, but if I have to think about fear, the current fear that I deal with daily is the fear of being alone. And that's just, I think, part of growing up is that I've always, whether sober or loaded, I've always surrounded myself with people because that makes me not feel alone. And now I'm, you know, a grown man that's got time under his belt, that's not doing shady off things. I live in a state without my family, and now I got to be a big boy, you know. And so now I'm dealing with fear of like that emotional maturity of like, hey, you know what, like it's okay that like you come home at night and there's no one here. Like that's fine, you know, like things aren't going south, you know. But instantly I'm like, is it okay? Like I don't like being alone, you know. So like that's the fear that I deal with today. And transitioning, I guess, into the love part is I love that. Actually, I love that today my problems and the things that I'm like, gosh, I really don't want to deal with it, is all quality. You know, I mean, that's a quality problem to have. You know, I'm like, I don't want to be alone. Well, why am I alone? Well, I just put my name on a lease. I own an apartment, you know, for the first time in my life. So it's like all of these things are really good, beautiful things that I did not have ever in my life before getting sober, you know, and I appreciate that. And I love you guys. I love these meetings. I love getting outside of myself. You know, I haven't come to a lot of meetings for a while, but I am now. And I don't know. Our community is just such a beautiful thing. Recovery is so special. It's so beautiful. And, you know, whether you've got a day sober, 24 days sober, or, you know, 20 years, it doesn't really matter. We're all doing the same thing every day. You know, we're all showing up to the best of our ability. I'm showing up to the best of my ability, and I get the opportunity to make good decisions in my life today. And I'm grateful for that. So thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott. We're kind of running out of time, or I think we ran out of time. But
Sorry about that.
Esther,
Yeah.
did you want to jump in? Felt like you were.
Oh, I was only gonna jump in for a minute. Great reading, Ron. Thank you so much. Fear knocked at the door. Faith answered, no one was there. Fear has always been a huge part of my life, in sobriety and in my drunkenness. My fear when I was drunk was always over the top. My anxiety was, a 15 on a scale of 1 to 10. And I was fearful not of dying, but of living. I was fearful of losing people I loved, having them die, not of my death. And Faith answered, all I can say is that I've come to the realization that I have no control over anything. And I have to believe through faith that my God and the God of the universe, who I call Christ, is more than capable and does a really great job of looking after things. And I better just leave it be. That's it.
Thanks, Esther.
Thanks, Esther.
Thanks, Esther. Was that everyone?
Anybody else from Graceland?
Y'all are good.
All good?
I think we're good. Yeah, because we're out of time too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess Ron, since you dropped, I'll just pick up the host there. I really appreciate everyone coming, and it's been really great. And we are excited and hope to see you guys again soon. So thanks again for everyone that showed up and shared their experience, strength, and hope. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Thanks, you guys. Have a good day.
Bye.
Thank you.